This is a Karambit knife. It's very sharp. And this is a training knife. Now to hold a Karambit knife, you put your finger through the hole, thumb over the top, or pinky through the hole and wrap your fingers around the handle. Now to start with, I'm going to be using a fake knife, the training one, so I don't accidentally cut myself. Now I wasn't quite sure what I was doing, so I was kind of just messing around, twirling it on my finger, until I worked up the courage to move on to the actual blade. Now, because it's super sharp, I was smart and decided to wrap my hand in these wraps. I started twirling the knife around, being very careful. I was so scared I was going to cut myself, so I was being extra careful. But the next day I didn't wrap my hands and, well, I cut myself. Now, it didn't hurt that much, it just surprised me. So I decided to keep playing with the blade, and after accidentally cutting myself, I was less scared of it because it didn't actually hurt that much. It was more the fear of getting hit that was scary. My hands started to ache after hours of doing this, so I had to give them a bit of a rest. After about an hour, I got back to it. Now, the real question is, what am I actually doing? Well, I'm drawing a figure 8, just like the nunchucks in my previous video, but this time with the blade. Next, we are combining two moves. The first one, the thumb lock, which is the handle bouncing off your thumb. And the second one is the revolver, which is the handle bouncing off the back of your fingers and then catching it. And the last one is the thumb switch. This involves moving the knife from your finger to your thumb and then to another finger again. Now this is the hardest one by far. I struggled a lot trying to learn this one. And that's not much and it's pretty basic. It looks good when it's all together, but that's a lot harder than you think. So I started practicing, trying to mix moves together. This one's the figure 8 and the thumb switch. The figure 8 made it a lot easier to do the thumb switch, but it was still quite hard. Now after practicing and practicing, I found that my arms started to ache, but I did start getting a good flow, and some moves came a lot easier than others. The ones that were easy were definitely the thumb block and the revolver. The figure 8 was also really easy, but when it was mixed with the other ones, it became a little bit more difficult. Surprisingly, through this whole time I hadn't even cut myself, but I did throw the blade and I jumped. Luckily the blade was still okay. This thing is very strong because I did it again and it was fine. I kept practicing the figure 8 with the thumb switch because that was the hardest one, and I kept trying to learn how to spin it on different fingers, but that was proving quite a challenge. Now, by the end of the day, this is how it looked. I'd been practicing for quite a few hours, my fingers were aching, but I still needed to see how it all looked all together. And I was very happy with my results. It looked very smooth and felt very controlled. But I had to stop for the rest of the day. The next day I went back to trying to learn the thumb switch because that was the only one I felt I was not capable at. After practicing for ages, I still felt so frustrated. This one was giving me the most grief and I was struggling. The loop would keep getting stuck on my thumb and would stop spinning, making it almost impossible to move it between fingers, so I just had to keep on practicing. I had a quick break and learnt the grip switch, which is just switching the blade in your hand, and then started learning the rodeo, which involves taking the knife from the top, swinging it down, and then catching it again. I was struggling with the timing, nothing repetition couldn't solve. I kept practicing this one until I had a quick haircut, and then went back to it, spinning it on my finger, bringing it down, and then catching it. I didn't realise how easy it was after you got the hang of it. I kept on doing both the thumb switch and the rodeo until I was fluent at both, and I was so happy I was finally done with the thumb switch, considering that was the hardest one by far. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. The next trick is going to be the vortex. Vortex involves spinning the blade towards the ground, flipping your hand up, and then catching it again. My arms were screaming at this point, but I had to keep on going because I was so close. And then, I finally got it. Last and definitely not least, time to put it all together. But before I show you that, if you could leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification, that would be much appreciated. I like making these videos for fun. If you enjoy watching this content, I'm sure to be making more soon, so stay tuned. Now here's the final results. This is a mixture of all the moves I've learnt over the last couple of days. I'm sure if I had more time, it'd look smoother, and who knows, maybe I would have learnt more. Thanks for watching.